Two. Hello. Hello. Two. Check. Hey, folks. It's me, Rob. Hello. It's nice to see you again. I made a pretty serious sandwich here. Do you want to see my sandwich? Yesterday I had purchased one. Today I made a sandwich. I got some pretty nice fresh ingredients, and I was really looking forward to making something special today. And I think it's something else. Do you want to see the sandwich? I got, so far, not a lot of enthusiasm, frankly. I got Carrier Wave. I got a number of other people showing skepticism. Please notice Rob is wearing Friendship Triangle merchandise because he's a cool guy. Only the coolest guys, like me, wear Friendship Triangle merchandise. Okay, so you ready for this? Look at this. It's kind of hard with the lighting. It's right in the light. It's so brilliant. Maybe back here is maybe a little bit better. You can get a better glimpse. So, I got some fresh baguette, some fresh mozzarella from the Italian grocery, some fresh prosciutto and salami on there. And this, I guess, I could only describe this as a Korean-Italian fusion sandwich. It's a lot of Italian stuff on there, and I also included some spicy pickled eggplant as well. Some spicy pickled eggplant, which is a really nice little something to have on a sandwich. I was Googling North Korean geography and realized that not far from the Triangle Hotel is a hospital called the Friendship Hospital. There we go. When we have our meetup there, we'll be good to go when things get out of hand. Head on over to the Friendship Hospital afterwards.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Baby Gronk rizzed up Livy.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay, for the 14 months of Tier 1. Still don't know what any of those words mean. Anyway, so I got the fresh baguette. I got fresh mozz. I got salami and prosciutto. I have to put on this light as well, actually. There we go. It's better. Salami, prosciutto, spicy pickled eggplant, and added some Kewpie mayo and Laogan Ma. So it's got a little Korean enhancement, and a little Korean flavor enhancement. I'm quite looking forward to this. People keep saying Baby Gronk rizzed up Livy and stole her boyfriend, the Drip King. Okay. Okay, good to know. Yeah, Brian, honestly, I'm mostly fine. As I mentioned yesterday, despite me being in Quebec, I've avoided the worst of the wildfire smoke over the last couple of days. The wind has just blown it directly around Montreal and then across the eastern seaboard, and now it's moving west. It is unnerving, yeah, because I know at any time the winds could change and the toxic cloud could immediately head over me, so I'm not trying to get too cocky about it, definitely. Because my luck could change here at any moment. It seems like right now it's blowing like west, directly to Pennsylvania right now. I think the Midwest is probably still I think it's still probably okay. But I don't know. I'm certainly not an expert. Anyway, I'm going to eat this now. I've been really looking forward to eating this sandwich for basically 2 days now. Okay. Yeah. That's good. That's good. All the Italian ingredients mixing with the Kewpie mayo and Laugan Ma. That's very nice. When's my actually existing birthday? It was on Saturday, the 3rd. As a fellow Decade 5 enjoyer, I offer my solidarity. As today is my birthday, I take no pleasure in reporting this. Happy birthday, Praxid. Happy birthday. Let's get a happy birthday, Praxid. We got a lot of powerful Geminis in this community. That can't be a coincidence. That can't be a coincidence. Age sandwich, are you keeping it under your pillow like Homer? No, it only existed in my mind before today. I had the ingredients and I had the idea of the sandwich, and now I've been able to take the idea and turn it in, like bring it to fruition. It's really good. The fresh mozzarella is very nice as well. Marcus's birthday as well. Did not realize that. I did not realize that. I think the weird thing about right now is that, like, I am mostly avoiding the gigantic toxic cloud, but it's kind of cold, which was bizarre because last week at this time it was like 35 degrees or something like that. And now it's like quite chilly. I'm sure that's all normal stuff though. That's all fine. Hey Husker, what's going on? We appreciated a good game of hooky over here, that's for sure. $18 there today. It's 13 here right now. We're back to 1 out of 10 on the will the air kill you scale, so that's nice. We apparently might get more pollution in a day or two. Well, it seems to be like completely dependent on which way the wind blows. I feel like we're going to have these big, gigantic wildfire clouds for probably a lot of the summer. That's what seems to be the prediction. I would hope that's incorrect, but that seems to be the prediction. And then it just basically depends on which way the wind blows, whether you have a toxic cloud day or not. We just have toxic clouds now. That's right. It's now forget about summer. This isn't your grandma's season. Summer season. Now it's toxic cloud season, baby. It's not just all about the 4-inch inseams and the sun's out, guns out, and the surfing and the beach stuff. Now we got to avoid the toxic clouds as well. The clouds are toxic now? Yeah, they're toxic now. Oh, God. Hot girl summer, move over for toxic cloud forever. Hell yeah. Luckily, everyone is just in live with it mode, so people barely even notice and few masked up. Well, this, for the anti-maskers now, who are all like, they just want new mask mandates, man. Trudeau's lighting the fires. We have new mask mandates and new lockdowns. You know what? I encourage them to just go ahead, go on outside, go for a jog. Just raw dog it. Don't let True Dope tell you what to do, okay? Don't let this George Soros affiliate communist, let's call it what it is. Don't let him tell you what to do. You need to go outside and raw dog the toxic cloud air. The woke libs won't let me breathe the toxic air. Exactly. You got to show them who's boss. And no, we didn't celebrate Pat Robertson dying yet. No, we didn't, Husker. But R.I.P. Bozo to that old loser, that old piece of shit. How about that? Rest in piss, Pat Robinson, or whatever his name is. Not hosting the 500 Club anymore, Pat. We're like hosting the 6 Feet Under Club because you died. Huh? What do you think of that? That's a really yummy sandwich. And yeah, I agree with you, Sean. You know what? I think we can celebrate. I think we can hold two. It's a dialectic, right? Whether it's Kissinger, whether it's Pat Robertson, or whatever old, crusty war criminal or cult leader happens to die, completely wealthy, at home and surrounded by their loved ones. I think we can celebrate that they're no longer there, and we can take a certain amount of satisfaction from the fact that they're gone, while also recognizing that they helped mold this horrific world that we all have to live in, and mostly got away with it, or entirely got away with it. You know? I think we can hold these two ideas in our minds at the same time. I'm hearing on her deathbed, Pat Robertson received the light of Islam and unhesitatingly recited the Shahada. Even now he looks down on the Ummah from the gardens of Jannah. Truly there is no God but God, and Muhammad is his prophet. I've heard that as well, Jay. I've heard that as well. Many people have been saying this. Excuse me. Rob and I share a mind like that guy in the movie we just watched. Sorry I missed Scanners last night. I actually really did want to watch Scanners with the community. I just wasn't able to make it work. I wasn't able to put my kid to bed in time. So I missed the beginning, and then it was Game 3 of the NBA Finals, which I really wanted to watch. So had to give it a miss, unfortunately. I hope it was fun, though. I hope you all had fun. The God, Michael Ironside. He's so good. My first time watching it. Yeah, I've actually never seen it. That's why I really did want to watch it. Just wasn't really able to get around to it. Michael Ironside's Canadian too, isn't he? I want to watch all the pumped up 1980s movies. 2 damn time zones. You know, one day we've got to do at least a couple of movie days. We should do a movie day at like 1 p.m. Eastern on the weekend sometime, so that Diego can join us. One of Canada's truly precious Michaels. It's true, yeah. He's got to watch out. He's one of the most prominent Canadian Michaels, and the CCP could be on his ass at any time. He's got to be careful. I'm almost finished my sandwich here, which is very good. Really good. A lot of collision of really interesting flavors there. Many Michaels have grown ambitious. Some say too ambitious. Our Michaels are letting their guards down, frankly. And we know what happens when you let your guard down around the CCP. President Xi Jinping, they send balloons over us to monitor all the different Michaels. It all gets fed into a real-time update in Xi Jinping's lair. And when one of the Michaels becomes exposed, that's when they strike. That's when they strike, isn't it? So, I have a question, folks. It's called MikeNet. That's right. I had another Monster Zero Energy. It's an Ultra. Monster Ultra. Which one did you have, Sean? So I got a question. Does anyone remember the guy yesterday that failed the vibe check? Libby Dunkington was their name. And they did submit an unban request and sent me a couple of DMs just like, I'm sorry for failing the vibe check. I don't know. I was just trying to be friendly. And they want a second chance. They want a second opportunity. What do you think we should do? There's just some people that come along here. There's been a couple examples of people that have this vibe where I feel like everything that they're saying is like, and they're like, oh, you're so funny. Oh, you're so funny. Oh, it's my favorite streamer. And I get the sense that it's like not real and that I'm being kind of like subtly antagonized. And there's been people in this chat, no one here right now, of course, but where I've like just like I've just ignored it for like months or years at a time. But then I've just gotten to the point now where it's just like, no, I'm not into this. Carrier wave, didn't see any red flags. Okay. But we're watching you. Hello, Up the Reds. What's up? I'm one of the dumbest, most dense, most uncool persons. If I'd messed up on my first day here, I'd have been banned too, so I said give them a chance. You're not uncool, Diego. That's not true. We don't tolerate any of this kind of negative self-talk in this community, Diego. That's one thing that I'm not going to tolerate. This kind of negative self-talk that I'm hearing over here. That's for me. That's for me to do. The negative self-talk. And there's a difference between the subtle ribbing, which I know you don't mean. I know you don't mean. I can tell the difference. I know you don't mean any of the mean things you say to me. And I know that you all respect and admire me, despite sometimes the treatment that I get.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Oh wow, it's Rob Rosso, my favorite streamer from that super important nation of Canada. I am so excited.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for the 200 friend coin. Thank you. I don't know. There's just some people where it's just I got a bad vibe. Bad vibe.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Another month of getting robbed and loving it.
Human person, thank you very much for the 16 months of Tier 1 and for being part of the community. Thank you, human person. For what it's worth, my mental health has felt actually decent for the most part lately. Probably due to the Monster Energy Zero Ultra beverages. It does give you that kind of mental clarity that maybe you were missing out on before. Helps lift some of that brain fog. I guess I will consider lifting the ban on Libby Dunkington, but they're going to be on thin ice though. I see the world anew and with a sort of off-putting jitteriness. There we go. It's not off-putting. That's how you know it's working. Those are the vitamins. Or as I call them, vitamins. Thoughts on collision main event of Jay White, Juice Robinson, and Samoa Joe versus FTR and CM Punk? Well, I didn't see that was announced, so that's the first. You're telling me for the first time. I hadn't heard about that. I don't think it's the feud that people want to see from Punk, although I would love to see a Punk Samoa Joe feud. I don't know if they can build the match and make it mean something. I'm excited to see Punk back in general. If they can build that match and make it, there's no doubt with the people involved that there's enough talent around there to build that match into something that people want to see. Like, not just based around work rate or the wrestlers being good or whatever, but actually having some kind of a story. I would like to see an extended or protracted Punk and Samoa Joe feud, though. I think that would be like they had the ability to do that for a while and didn't pull the trigger, and I think that would be a solid way to bring Punk back. But the match people want to see are, including me, is Punk and FTR versus Kenny Omega and the Bucks. That's the money match. That's the money feud. Did we talk NBA already? Jokic and Murray are looking much more comfortable after Game 3. Yeah, it's that's why I predicted that they would probably win Game 3 yesterday. It's just, you can never really count out Miami. You can't, and Game 2 proved that, but Jokic is just so good. Like, he's just the best player on the floor, and usually in most series in basketball, that's going to be the team that's going to win. And Murray as well has just been phenomenal. He's just been absolutely phenomenal. And they probably would have won Game 2 if they didn't move away from him so much. There was like the whole stretch of the second and third quarter where Murray was barely involved in the offense, which is why they lost that game. But he's just spectacular. I mean, it's been cool to see him. Like, he was so great in the bubble, but there was a bunch of guys that were really good in the bubble that was maybe like, didn't know if it was an illusion or if it was just in this specific scenario. And then Murray's been hurt the last couple of years. It was really unclear whether he was going to be able to get back to that kind of A-lister kind of level that he was looking like he was breaking through. And he has. He's been absolutely spectacular. Oh. It's the woke alarm. Sorry to hear that, King Uendo. Lost your sorcerer in Hardcore Diablo 4. Sorry to hear that. I've never played one of the Diablo games. The Bubble Mirage was AD's 3-point percentage. There was a couple of Bubble Mirages. But it seems like Murray is the real deal. Like, he's playing like... Yeah, he's playing like an absolute, like an A-lister, like an absolute superstar right now. On the absolute highest possible stage. And throughout, he's been tremendous through the whole playoffs, so. Did enjoy the game last night. It's pretty cool seeing someone like, especially going back to Jokic, like seeing him operate right now, just seeing someone do anything, whether it's basketball or playing an instrument or acting or whatever it is, seeing someone master something and just do that thing better than anyone on the planet can possibly do. It's just entertaining, you know, even if you don't really like sports ball all that much. Streaming, yeah, exactly. You see someone just operating on the absolute peak physical and mental level and just completely like dominating their media, their specific medium, you know, not to name any names. Doing accents, exactly. Thank you. Just a couple random examples off the top of my head. Those are really enjoyable. And even though it's like kind of an underdog situation, Miami's the 8th seed and Denver's the number 1 seed. Denver, I don't think have ever won a championship. They've been, a lot of the time when I started watching basketball, were like one of the worst teams for years and years and years. So I do think I'm still looking forward to them winning a chip. Let's see here. I'm just looking for the old smoke forecast here. I'm trying to find the good website. Is this one of the good ones? Oh, good. Yep, I'm still weirdly, it doesn't, I feel a little guilty about this, and I feel a little weird about it, but I do seem to be still in the clear, for now. For now. Who's the other birthday boy, Johnny? We got another birthday boy? Oh, Marcus. Happy B-Day. Thank you, Dummy Dorco. It is still my birthday, as we all know. As I've made very clear to everybody, it is still my birthday.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Chat, can we please get a happy birthday, Marcus? Let's get a happy birthday, Marcus, going in the chat. Let's get a happy birthday, Marcus. We got a double birthday. We got a double birthday. As we all know, it is also my birthday as well. It's been my birthday for some time, and it will continue indefinitely.
Have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
HBD Marcus.
Thank you, Pathogen, for the 13 months of Tier 1. Thank you for that. And hello, everybody.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Happy Ejection Day.
Hello, everybody. I am Rob.
You can count on me.
It's nice to see
you. Good
you.
old Rob to talk you through all this.
Please smash the follow button if you're just joining us. If you're not already a follower of TRRS or you're not part of the community, please go ahead and smash the follow button if you want to join the community, participate in the chat. And don't you want to follow this guy? Thank you, Dethrone92, for the 8 months Tier 1. Thank you, Navi of Destiny, as well, for the 3 months Tier 1. Big fan of the Navi, as you know. Unfollowing because of the duck lips. I'm not sure what that was, Moss. I'm not sure. I'm not going to be experimenting with that again. Usually I only do it when I do the dance, the 5 gift sub dance. I won't do the duck face again, though, outside of that specific context. And that's my promise to you. Okay? Thank you also, Pavlov's Devil Dog, for the friend coin. The 69 friend coins. It seems like you already have a sub, a Pavlov's Devil Dog. I don't think you have to blow anybody. Either whether that's fortunate or unfortunate for you, I don't know, but I don't know if any of the blowing is going to be necessary. I mean, if you want to just anyways, then I mean that's your prerogative, obviously. Seems like you already blew someone, yeah. He just doesn't remember. Doesn't remember who he blew to get in here, but it was somebody. It was somebody, I'll tell you that much. Anyway, how was the Left Flank Vets stream? What did y'all get up to today? Were you watching the any interesting wildfire related calls on C-SPAN? I imagine that there's all kinds of people riled up about that. All kinds of hogs riled up about that. There are here. You go on TikTok on like the wildfire Trudeau must go thing. They're all over this shit. Trudeau himself is out there starting the fires. so he can further enforce his woke globalist agenda. Lots of hogs thinking the fires aren't real. Yeah, they're either not real or they were started by Trudeau or by like woke environmentalists or whatever, or trans people. So their fires are they're either totally fake and the smoke, I guess, is some kind of like chemtrail type thing, or they're real and are started intentionally in order to enforce the 15-minute city masking mandates, work from home, Great Reset type stuff. There was some Instagram guy with an altered voice saying that the fires were started to get people into 15-minute cities. Of course. The thing is, you understand, like, when you're working backwards from that conclusion, you can just fit anything into that narrative. I see American Hogs saying stuff like everywhere burning is normal and good, actually won't hurt you to breathe it in. Yeah, and I encourage them to all go outside and go for little jogs and just breathe it in as much as they want. When there's smoke, there's fire, unless it's a fake fire to turn the frogs gay. Absolutely. Absolutely. My boss said yesterday that the police had charged a climate activist with arson in Halifax, and I have yet to see a single story confirming it. Love to have a Jordan Peterson guy at my boss. Well, the thing is, his source is like the Canada Proud Facebook page, so, which really is just as good as any journalism, or better, really, when you think about it. It's even better. No, well, like, that's what we're seeing. It's like the idea of a 15-minute city, like we've talked about a number of times. It's literally just like having some smart green urban design to try and get people out of cars. Just it's this very liberal, like, urban Green Party kind of environmentalist idea of climate activity, which is, I think it's important to do. It's not enough, of course, but it's important to do, and it would make everyone's lives better, and that lives in a big city, right? If you've got more green spaces, more pedestrian areas, more amenities closer to where you live, this is all great stuff. Better transit, this is all stuff that it's like going to improve people's lives that live in cities. And they're viewing that as like it's basically a concentration camp. My F-150's under attack, exactly. And that's what I've just come to realize, is that just there's no, like, if even that is oppressive to these people, the idea of doing anything actually drastic or serious to confront climate change or change our lifestyle in any way, they're going to be not on board with that, to say the least. They view the idea of like smarter urban planning as basically being a concentration camp, this like affront to their freedom. So really, like, they're going to like think about how they're going to react. The more these consequences get, the worse things get in wildfire season, with the oceans rising, more pandemics, like whatever other consequences, especially the refugee caravans and refugee crisis that's going to be increasing in severity as more climate refugees from Latin America and other places start trying to come here. These people are just going to, they've already lost their minds, and they're going to lose their minds even more. And they're going to literally throw their bodies on the tracks. Like, they're already talking about, I saw a guy on TikTok yesterday that's like, it's almost time for Trudeau. We're going to know when it's the time. Like, kind of this winky, nudgy, like, we're going to violently overthrow the government. Like, this wildfire shit, man, it's just the last straw. We're going to know when the time is right. Like, they're ready to put heads on pikes in Ottawa city center over like this mild like carbon tax, milk toast liberal environmentalism. The idea that's anything beyond that, these people are going to absolutely fucking lose it. Although I don't think that guy, like the guy on TikTok that I saw saying that, I don't think he's actually going to do shit. First of all, he's talking about like he's this big tough guy, but I don't think he's going to do anything at all. But these hogs and chuds and yahoos are going to get even more emboldened the worse this stuff gets. Stand back and stand by. Yeah, when they actually start, if we have to ration, when the government says like, yeah, because of the toxic cloud, maybe don't try not to go outside. Whether it's the toxic wildfire clouds, whether it's just like heat waves where it's like 40 degrees and the government's like, hey, probably stay inside in the shade. Don't go outside if you can help it because it's dangerous for your health. These people are going to fucking lose their minds. Like, I'm going to go outside in the 45 degree heat. You can't tell me not to. They're going to be rolling coal in their garages. Are the right-wingers going to chill when Trump wins or not? I'm guessing no. They certainly didn't chill when he won last time, even when they got everything that they wanted. Ain't nobody going to tell me how to live, brother. Like, we got to go. We can't. The idea that we can reach out to these people and speak to the economic issues that they're experiencing and bring them onto our side, it's just pure fantasy land. Anything that we do, we're going to have to go through these people. We're going to have to go through them. Rolling coal in the garage with the Trudeau cardboard cutout next to the exhaust. I do encourage them to do that, definitely. Yeah, maybe don't water your lawn every single day. Well, that's tyranny. And that's coming too, especially to like the American South, Arizona and everything. Maybe cut down on the golf. Ah, no. No. I have a right to breathe polluted air. I swear, like, these people's homes can be underwater. Like, not underwater economically, like they already are, but like physically underwater with the oceans rising. And the government's like, we're going to send a rescue boat to help you. And they're going to be like, no, I'm not going to go on no rescue boat. Justin Trudeau's going to bring me to one of these FEMA camps. I'm not doing that. It's like, sir, you're underwater. You will literally die. Also, droughts apparently don't cause wildfires. Nothing does, in fact. No, of course. And like, no one disputes that wildfires always are going to happen. But yes, because of climate change and because of the places being hotter and drier, the fires are more severe and are going on for longer and starting earlier and burning more. Like, it's exacerbating all these already existing weather issues that we have, whether it's wildfires, hurricanes, or whatever. Like, climate science hasn't predicted exactly like this for decades. And this is what I was saying yesterday, Steve Guy. Like, we were talking yesterday about how, like, in the late 70s or early 80s, if we had done some of these things like we're trying to think about doing now, you know, promoting electric vehicles, carbon taxes, these kind of like neoliberal sort of like economic policies to put into place to kind of limit greenhouse gases or whatever. If we had started doing that 40 years ago, we would be in pretty good shape now, you know? But now it's 40 years later and we're just starting to do the bare minimum, which we should have been doing a long time ago. And even that is way too much for some of these people. No, I mean, I posted a TikTok to this effect last night. I'll show you. I tried to post a little humorous TikTok about this exact subject. And I'll show you some of the comments I got already. One day
So
the
I know
TikTok
with these
algorithm will bless me with a
wildfires
hit
raging out of
TikTok.
control across Canada, and the way that this now gigantic toxic smoke cloud is hovering over so many major cities in Canada and the U.S., turning all these places into these terrifying cyberpunk dystopias. It's a really scary time. But one thing that does give me a lot of hope in these moments is that I really do feel like I think some people that maybe haven't been taking this issue as seriously as they should have been over the last couple of years, climate change, they maybe will start to, now that they can see the effects when they open their front door or their window, maybe they will start to reevaluate some of their ideas and hopefully come to the realization that in order to solve some of these huge problems that we're facing, we all really need to come together and work together. That's one thing that makes me feel really positive about this kind of moment.
Yep, and then they gonna be blaming Canada and like, because of your wildfires. No, blame the government, blame Trudeau, cause
Fuck. So I know with these wildfires.
And I got a bunch of these guys. It's playing into their playbook. Watch the next lockdown. Arson is not, I got a couple of these. Arson is not climate change. I got a couple of those. Like, come on. Come on now. What are we supposed to do with that? What are we supposed to do with that, folks? You know? Who are they saying the arsonists are? Well, I don't know, like the government, I guess. They think like government helicopters are flying around, spraying fire into the forests, and then the forests catch on fire, and then that's used to justify more mask mandates and more lockdowns and shepherding people into these concentration camp like 15-minute cities. That's what it is. Yeah, and you know who it really is? Them, exactly. That's what I was wondering here. This guy says it's playing into their playbook. Watch the next lockdown. As whose playbook? Who specifically are you referring to here, Andy? Who is they? Their playbook. Who are we talking about here? I would love them to just spell it out for me, you know? I would love for them to just really spell it out for me so we can be totally clear on this, about who's responsible for this. These people aren't going to stop until they finally have had just enough of a reason to waltz over to their neighbor's house and murder the entire family for not having an American flag flying from the front porch or Canadian or whatever. And many people are getting there already. Like, we're already hearing about people just totally popping and doing that. It is going to be barbarism, at least here. Not everywhere. Not everywhere around the world, but yeah, at least here. For a while. Maybe not forever, you know? Maybe not forever. We're probably going to have a little bit of barbarism, though, as a little treat. Just as a little treat. We've been inflicting on everyone else for generations, and I think we're going to get a little taste. You know, it's not going to be fun. We should probably take a look at some of this boring, dumbass Pierre Poilievre and his so-called filibuster here. It's funny too, and actually, I think it was community member G Cluppy that was pointing out the way that like they're literally blaming Canada for the wildfire smoke rather than making any kind of connection to climate change or the way that climate change exacerbates these things. It's just like, oh, fucking Canada. Fucking Canada. Yeah, exactly. The government, it's true. That's the fundamental thing, right? The government just loves it when people wear masks. Why do they want people wearing masks to control them? Well, we don't know exactly. We just know that it makes people very upset, so that's why the government likes to do it, because it hurts their feelings. The scary thing is that this time we may end up with Nazis that have nukes. I mean, to an extent, that's always been who's in charge of America, basically since World War II. But there is kind of like an ongoing process of the mask slipping. Absolutely. Why do you support the deep state? Well, I'm paid very handsomely to do so. I'm paid very handsomely by chatters such as Don Darkzoni, who, from his perch in Langley, sends money to this stream to allow me to keep doing this show, where I convince people of the globalist agenda. Here's what Fox Business is saying.
And an unhealthy haze covering the Northeast as cities are completely saturated in smoke from the Canadian wildfires. Fox weather meteorologist Jane Minar is in Edgewater, New Jersey this morning with the very latest. Jane, we're still seeing that haze behind you. Good morning. What can you tell us?
Yeah, it's just a really devastating morning. I mean, the last couple of days have been very hard to get through for a lot of people, young kids, but just the general person. Even me, myself, I've had some difficulties getting around. The sun is coming up. It's a bright ball just behind me, and I'm just about a mile from the GWB, George Washington
This is like right outside
Bridge,
your house, Johnny.
Completely clouded over. Now, yesterday, New York City saw some of the worst air quality in 40 years. We had air quality index values well into the 400s, and in comparison, Beijing, China yesterday afternoon had an air quality index of just about 50. And so that's a good reading as far as the hazardous readings that New York City saw.
That's always the funny thing right now, too. People are like, this is just like China. Our air quality is so bad like China. Then you actually look at how it is in China right now. They're like, no, this is actually quite nice. We're actually doing okay. Our air quality is pretty good. Thank you for asking.
The worst air quality that we've seen in such a long time. A lot of people feeling the irritation in their eyes, the scratchiness in their throat, even having some chest pains as they went throughout the afternoon. It was highly recommended that people stay indoors. And even as we go through the day today, it's not until a weather pattern change that we'll see by the weekend that this smoke will start to shift in direction, move out of the tri-state area. But in the meantime, even this morning, we wake up with hazardous air qualities for major metropolitan areas.
Australia is taking revenge for the rest of the world not caring about them in 2019. I cared. I talked to Andrew Law on my podcast about that when it was going on. His family was experiencing it. That's been this whole thing about this fuck, you see right-wingers reacting to this with all this deranged conspiracy theory stuff, but then people like from the liberal left progressive spectrum are all like, fuck, we have wildfires all the time. Like, they can't even come together to show basically any sympathy for people. Like, we can't even say like, yeah, it's of course there's lots of wildfires on the West Coast, and that's absolutely terrible. The way that that's also exacerbated by climate change, and that's been devastating for millions of people as well. And it's devastating when any of these climate impacts happen, wherever it is. We don't need to, it's not a competition. We don't need to get in like a climate change suffering competition with one another. And like, we live in this economic system, in this society that makes us like that programs our brains like this individualism, this like cult of individualism that we really have to do work to unlearn. Like, you really have to. It's so taught to us to not have any sympathy with fucking anybody, or not to view anybody in our neighborhood, in our city, in our province or state, in our country as being like our neighbors. people that we need to work with and have empathy and sympathy for. It's just been completely beaten out of us against human nature. As much as people talk about capitalism being human nature, it's against our human nature to like view each other like this. But this is the perversion that's been kind of foisted on us by this kind of economic system. No, and yeah, and ecologists have been telling people this will happen for 30 years. Like, this is not new. Climate scientists have been very clear about all of this for years. And as we've talked about before, the Exxon's own scientists predicted like what was going to be happening and when in like the mid to late 70s. And then they funded, that's the thing, they funded this entire like alternative media, right-wing media establishment to muddy up the waters, to deny that it was happening, to obfuscate and to make people reactionary and angry about whatever other thing they could think of. And now all these people are like coming from this extreme reactionary conservative media bubble where they've been told for now years or decades that climate change is not only not happening, but it's this like evil hoax on the part of these like soy granola loving liberals. So now people are emerging from this extreme reactionary bubble where they've been told this for over and over. They've been beat over the head with this over and over for years and years and years now. And they're looking around and they're seeing the impact of the effects of the climate, which we knew were coming. And it's just breaking their brains. Right? And you see the mix of the toxic individualism, the conservative media bubble, and they see the reality of it right up front and they can't make sense of it. It's kind of a dialectic, isn't it? They're seeing the truth and the way that they've been lied to right in front of them, but they can't accept that. They can't accept the idea that they've just been lied to, and they, like gullible fucking dumbasses, believed it. They believed these people that are being paid by oil companies. Like all these Daily Wire guys, the Ben Shapiro's and the Matt Walsh's or whatever, they're literally paid by, they're part of the PR wing of the fossil fuel industry. And these people that are like in part of this conservative media bubble or echo chamber, they can't accept the idea because they're smart and they're critical thinkers, and no one would never hoax them or pull one over on them or con them, even though they've been listening intently to these motherfuckers funded by the very industries that have been creating this problem and profiting from it for generations. But they just can't admit that they've been lied to. They can't admit that they got conned. So then they reach into this, and it's going to get weirder and weirder. They reach into these wacky conspiracies about the globalist agenda and 15-minute cities and all this bullshit. And all the stuff about Exxon knowing about the science as well. Like, we're talking about a crime as well. Like, we should be clear about that when we talk about that. We're talking about probably basically the greatest crime ever perpetrated on people. The fact that these oil and gas companies knew that this was going on and deliberately covered it up. And millions of people, or even billions of people, are going to be affected by this. It is a literal crime against humanity. But then, of course, when you talk about possible consequences for that crime, you get scolded for using words of violence. What is violence if not poisoning the air and water and ecosystems that billions of people have to live in? Like, that's violence. But if you talk about who runs these oil companies, who has deliberately been part of this conspiracy, knowingly and deliberately, and whether you think they should have certain consequences happen to them, of course, that's illegal to talk about on Twitch because it's violent. It's violent. We wouldn't want that. We wouldn't want anyone discussing violence like that. And of course, for that reason, I would never advocate doing crimes or anything out of the ordinary, And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with anyone that does want to do that. Obviously. Violence is when Bernie is too aggressive sounding. Yeah. When he's yelling about the billionaires. Well, it reminded me of the time that my dad threw a pot roast against the wall. which is pretty much just as bad. He wagged his finger too hard. That's right. And now back to my North Korean genocide simulator. Yeah. Let's talk about the murderous dictator in DPRK. Let's focus where we need to. I saw everyone freaking out too. All the libs were freaking out about Trump whenever he says anything positive about Kim Jong-un. All the Stephen Kings and the Mehdi Hassans of the world praising this murderous dictator. Because one bad thing happened to one fucking American once. Good thing American presidents have never murdered anybody. Exactly. It's not like there's people being tortured to death in the vast, immensely cruel American prison system right now at this very moment. Orange Sky reminds me of Orange Man.
To talk you through all this.
Orange Sky bad. More like. You know? Diego, thank you very much for the 2 gifted subs. Very, very much appreciated, Diego. Thank you. I'm just taking a little photo here. That's right, the CIA money briefcase. That's right. The sky is orange. Jeez. Jesus. CIA money briefcase with complimentary heart attack dart gun. This thing, when I step out of line, they don't get me with the heart attack gun. They get me with the indigestion gun. It's not so bad. You know, it's not so bad. It's just a little reminder. It's just a little reminder to keep me in check. They get me with that stomach acid gun. Looks like Christie is running again, Johnny. Which I kind of welcome, actually. I think it was funny when he destroyed Marco Rubio, and he's a corrupt buffoon as well, but I would like to see him go after Trump. I like seeing these people tear into each other. I don't think he would be Trump's VP pick. That's going to be like Nikki Haley or one of those types. They got me with the week-long hangover after 2 beers gun. Classic. Oh, this is good. I got some good stuff to look at here. Let me just tweet here that I'm live. Yeah, I want to look at more at how conservative media is reacting to this. Because, like, we've talked a little bit about we've talked a little bit about how, like, the reactionary conspiracy theory world, online conservative conspiracy theory world, and how they're reacting to this. Well, let's look at mainstream media. Again, Fox News, who's been a central, probably the central vehicle
You can count
for
on
this
me
kind of
and
climate
good old
denialism.
Rob to talk you through all this.
Trump Pence TRRS Kim.
Moist Outlets, thanks for the 27 months, tier 1. Very much appreciated, Moist Outlets. Yeah. I mean, if Pence did run with Trump again, that would really be the ultimate cuck move from Pence. Working with the we must hang Mike Pence for treason crowd. Nothing would surprise me when it comes to these people. They don't care about anything other than being close to power, so nothing would surprise me. Anyway, here's what Fox News is saying about this, and I think there's more stuff on Newsmax as well, and good shit we can look at with that. I forgive him for trying to murder me. There we go. The Kendall Roy of American politics. Ken is at least sympathetic slightly. Pence is not sympathetic whatsoever. So here's Jesse Waters. Jesse Braves hazardous air quality. Here's a good one too. There's just no health risk. Good. Again, these people, their primary audience is like 75-year-olds, and they're just gonna keep doing this. Oh yeah, go outside into the toxic wildfire cloud. It's not even bad for your health. Just go out and do it. How many of their fucking own audience, their own viewers, are on like oxygen respirators already, just in normal conditions? Just in regular, everyday conditions, beautiful blue sky. They're still on the oxygen
You can
masks
count on me.
then.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Smells like freedom.
Effusive Stoic, thanks for the 19 months of tier 1. Thank you. You know what I mean? They're already on oxygen now before, just on a beautiful day. Or because they've had COVID 4 times. Yeah, exactly. From not wearing a mask previously, because Fox told them not to.
Pleasant to breathe, and for a lot of people, they get anxiety over it. But the reality is there's no health risk. Okay, there's EPA research. They've done lots of clinical research on asthmatics, on elderly asthmatics, on children, on elderly with heart disease. Not a cough or a wheeze from any of them. We have this kind of air in India and China all the time. No public health emergency.
Speaking of, do you notice, like in all the coverage of Bill Ware, the tailpipes, all this stuff, they never ever mention
now the CDC research is good.
China
Yeah,
is the #1 polluter in the world. Never.
Yeah. This
oh
is
yeah,
like
they just never mention
China.
that.
I mean, it's really bad. They in the winter they never.
That's crazy. I never hear that. I never hear that about China being the #1 polluter. Carbon emissions, lady. They're making your buckets. They're making your nuts and bolts. Okay? If you don't want China to emit so much, build your own buckets, build your own knickknacks and bullshit. Okay? They're making all your stuff, lady. Definitely bring your manufacturing back and then see what happens to the prices at Walmart and see what your audience has to say about that.
They're scrubbers for the air pollution because they don't care. Weir has no idea what he's talking about. This doesn't kill anybody. This doesn't make anybody cough. This is not a health event. This has got
and count the U.S. military. It's pretty even without the, and it's per capita as well. It's a country of 1.4 billion people that manufactures all our shit. They make the tie around your neck right now.
Smoke. This is natural. This is
yeah,
not
and their air quality is improved. It's significantly better than America right now.
Internal combustion engines. He just has no idea what he's talking about.
All day, by the way, it seemed like the media figures that we've become accustomed to seeing on television during these crises, they seemed like they were back in their element and kind of almost enjoying the moment of wearing masks again, didn't they? They seemed to have a little pep in their step with those masks. Now, they talked about the dangers of something called particulate matter from the smoke. Here's CNN earlier.
Consider wearing a mask, and that is because of the particulate matter in the air. This is among the tiniest, most dangerous kind of pollutants.
Unbelievable.
It's the kind of thing found in this wildfire smoke. These particles are so small they can get into the lungs when you breathe them in, get into the bloodstream, and cause all kinds of health issues.
Steve, we're back at the masks. Ramin Asqui is watching from heaven, by the way. Ramin, I know you are. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is all particulate matter, but particulate matter was not a concern until EPA invented it as one in the 1990s, and they've been writing it, the Obama administration, now the Biden administration.
Well, what is it? Is it a health concern?
No, particulate matter is very fine soot.
You don't want to be breathing that in all day.
They're just carbon particles. They're innocuous. Okay, by them, they're innocuous. There's nothing in them. They have no effect. The EPA has all this testing on real live human beings that shows no effect. This is total junk science.
We just invented soot in the 90s. That's right. They want let's just skip the middleman and get our little 6 and 7-year-old kids being chimney sweeps again. How about that? Send them down into the mines. Their little lungs can handle it. It's not even bad. This liberal black lung that you're talking about, climbing around in the chimneys and the coal mines. Who does this guy work for? That's a good question, Hollywood Coat. I would hazard a guess that there's some oil and gas company or fracking company paying his salary. That would be my guess. Who is this guy? Steve Malloy of the Energy and Environment Legal Institute. Steve Malloy, Energy and Environment Legal Institute. What is this, like a Koch brothers thing, you think? He's Junk Science on Twitter. He calls out the liberal junk science. Steve Malloy. JunkScience.com, part of the Trump EPA transition. So he's like a total global warming denier. Here's him in January 16th. Global cooling, despite 450 billion tons of emissions worth 14% of total man-made CO2 in the atmosphere, CO2 warming is a hoax. So he's just a full denialist of the idea that there's any warming on our planet going on whatsoever. Even the chuds in the wood shop wear masks now. Wood particulate, burned or not, is bad for you. Real talk, if you can get your hands on a GVS Eclipse P100 mask, you're dealing with smoke, do it. $30 well spent. Thanks for that tip. Carbon is wonderful, and we should just be breathing more of it. That's right. We breathe out CO2. You want to ban people now? Unbelievable. I'm trying to find this Energy and Environment Legal. Is that what it says?
On elderly with heart disease.
Energy and Environment Legal Institute. I can't find anything about that. I can only find his website, Junk Science. Here's his website. I want to know who pays this guy's salary. That's my question. That's my question. Donate on PayPal. I don't think we're going to be donating to Steve today. I want to know who's paying this guy's salary. That's what I want to know. Oh, I linked it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Karam. See, Energy Environment Legal Institute. Who we are, legal policy, fellows and advisors. These all look like fine, upstanding folks. As always, though, I'm interested in learning about the funding. Where's the funding coming from? They have a thing for individual donations. Don't seem to be too forthcoming. He's in favor of reletting the gasoline. Well, I am in favor of that as well. Here's the funding. Thank you, chat, for being able to do this real-time investigation that I am not. The Energy and Environmental Legal Institute, formerly the American Tradition Institute. Totally non-ominous sounding there. It was the American Tradition Institute and transitioned to the Energy and Environment Legal Institute. There you know, look at that. A 2011 study by the Institute for Southern Studies reported that E&E Legal had connections with, there it is, the Koch brothers, Art Pope, and other conservative donors seeking to expand their political influence. The Guardians described them as having a core mission of discrediting climate science and dismantling environmental regulations, while E&E Legal has been called a free market think tank that wants the public to believe human-caused global warming is a scientific fraud. The group's website at one time stated it was part of a broader network of groups with close ties to energy interests that have long fought greenhouse gas regulation. And they're basically harassing climate scientists. That seems to be one of their main tactics. Not super forthcoming with the... As of 2012, the FMELC was led by the following people. Also receives funding from Koch foundations, as reported by Greenpeace USA. Funding. Conservative Transparency reports the following donations for that. The Energy and Environment Legal Institute received $505,000 in combined contributions from Donors Trust and Donors Capital Fund. You got the Mercer family in there, the Cyril Freedom Trust, the Vernon K. Kreibel Foundation. That sounds totally above board as well. Both Donors Trust and Donors Capital Fund are responsible for distributing millions of dollars in grants while concealing the original identity of their donors. So that seems to be it. The reason that the information is tricky to find is because they're deliberately obfuscate who's the ones that are funding the project. But as we know, as we can obviously tell from what their mission is, it's the oil and gas industry with the express purpose of trying to pass deregulatory policies and stop taxing or regulating greenhouse gas emissions. Surprisingly, they're just a bunch of slimy cowards. That's right. Yeah, total front for the coal industry. Hello, really chill guy. What's up? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not... You can tell that just based on what they do and say. I was wondering if we could find maybe some more concrete info. And yeah, the quote, there it is, the coal industry funding. They don't publicly disclose their donors. 2015 bankruptcy proceedings with Arch Coal, one of the largest coal producers in the United States, listed E&E Legal as a creditor. The Intercept also identified that Alpha Natural Resources, another coal company, was funding the Free Market Law Clinic, a group, these are so sinister sounding, a group closely related to E&E Legal as well as directly to E&E's lawyer. So, I think it's pretty clear what's going on here. It's impossible to predict this. I know. It's actually the anti-oil people who are funded by foreign oil companies to do woke propaganda. I see. That's how you defeat the hardworking, salt of the earth American oil and gas companies.
Look bad.
AOC uses wildfire smoke to push the Green New Deal agenda. Can you believe that?
Now, you were out there. Now, I keep reading and hearing reports and people being interviewed. I had a hard time breathing. And I'm like, I'm walking in the same place you're walking in.
Hey, I'm walking here. Oh. He's a real New Yorker. Hey, he's kind of lost his step, this Hannity, right? He's so old now. He's barely able to muster the energy anymore. I'm walking here in the same place that you're walking there. Gabagool. Oh.
And I don't feel a thing. And I'm trying to understand. I work out regularly. So I think I'm relatively in tune with my body.
Oh, yeah, you look like you're in great shape, sir.
If I was having difficulty breathing, I would notice. Yeah. But these are young people saying this.
I think
are they all snowflakes?
I think people just like to make a big deal out of nothing. You know, we talk about people playing the victim card. This is just one reason for people to start complaining again. My biggest question, because I seem to be on the...
People are just playing the victim card.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Rob, get your Canadian wildfire fire smoke out of my New York City.
Thank you, Lily, for 14 months of Prime. Lily, you don't even live in New York City. Come on now. I live closer to New York City than you do.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Yo, Rob.
Progressive Canuck, thank you for the 22 months tier 1 as well. Oh boy, Progressive Canuck. Just 2 months away. Just 2 months away from the highly elite, highly exclusive 24-month TRRS sub badge. Congratulations to you, sir, Progressive Canuck, and thank you again. Yeah, no, everyone likes to play the victim card. Everyone just wants something to complain about. Everyone's playing the victim card about this gigantic cloud of toxic wildfire smoke hovering over our cities, creating this apocalyptic yellow haze over our cities. Everyone just wants to play the victim card about this.
You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
These people are really unbelievable. Thank you, MacLuster77. Thank you for that.
The smoke beat reporting for you this week. Yesterday was the free crack pipes. Today, the smoke in the air. I'm just wondering, has anyone investigated any type of correlation?
Oh, definitely look bad. Now, you were out there.
God, these fucking people are really something else. There's that guy again. Isn't there like Newsmax bullshit? I think there's Newsmax is even. I like seeing the various degrees of conservative conspiracy thinking. How can they be Christians and feel fine about the sky turning devilish red? You'd think these people are obsessed with like symbols and portents and like prophecies and this kind of stuff. And this isn't
use the computer
this
to
isn't
mark
doing
up
anything
the
for you.
size of the account.
Would love to introduce these people to a healthy dose of lead poisoning.
Thank you very much, Dimitri.
TRRS Rob Knife.
Thank you, Dimitri, for the 200 friend coin. You know what I mean? These people are so obsessed with this kind of shit. These prophecies and stuff. And it's like, maybe this is not doing anything for you. The sky turning this kind of color. Nothing really as this massive fire rages out of control. There's no kind of like analogy or symbolism. You don't want to connect to that at all. You know? It's really amazing. It's like the thing that you're so obsessed with is happening now. You're so obsessed with these like apocalyptic scenarios and this end of the world bullshit. And when the end of the world apocalyptic scenario is happening right in front of your face, they're like, no, doesn't seem like anything to me. Doesn't seem like anything to me. You know?
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
If it gets Fox News and Newsmax viewers outside breathing it in deep, I call it AW.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Brian. I mean, like, that's the thing. It's like, unlike with COVID, that you can't really spread contagion this way. So yeah, I encourage all these motherfuckers to just go outside and raw dog all the smoky, toxic cloud. Just fucking go for it. See if I care. And thank you, Brian, for the 200 friend coin. And we do have a little hype train going now, folks. So I'll just, while we do this, I will just remind you to please, if you can, support TRRS by subscribing to the channel or gifting friend coin. We're 95% of the way to this level 2 of this hype train here. You know, if you appreciate the coverage that I do of this and other topics over here on twitch.tv, please, the only way I'm able to continue doing that, the only way this show stays on the air is through the incredible generosity of the TRRS community. So if you can, please subscribe to the channel. It costs $5 per month. It's completely free of charge with an Amazon Prime account. You can join Twitch's only two-dimensional triangle-shaped friendship access and trickle-down clout tiered reward system. It's the only such system that exists on this entire platform. And not only that, you get a bunch of little tiny images. You get a bunch of little tiny images as well that you can use on Twitch. There's a bunch of little tiny images that you can use.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you very much, Anonymous Gifter. We love our Anonymous Gifters. Thank you so, so much, Anonymous Gifter. For the 5. The 1 sub. The one. I got a little ahead of myself there. Thank you for the gifted sub. Little tiny pictures. Little tiny images, folks. We love them. If they started saying it was a problem, they would start blaming gays and trans for it, so I'm not sure which is better. Well, there seems to be a split in the conservative movement, right? It's like, it's either totally fine, totally healthy to go and breathe the shit in, and everyone should do it, and it actually builds up your smoke community.
You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Or it is bad, and it is dangerous, and it's being started by woke globalist agenda acolytes like Justin Trudeau. Or these climate activists, maybe trans climate activists. We don't know. That seems to be where they're split. It's very similar to COVID, right? Very similar to COVID. COVID, totally fake, totally made up, not unhealthy at all. Nothing you need to worry about. Also, it's part of this evil plot that's being spread deliberately by China to kill millions of people. And it's both of these things at the same time. And the wildfires are kind of the same kind of a vibe. It's simultaneously totally healthy and safe to breathe in, and it's part of this woke globalist plot. You know? And they just hold these two ideas in their minds at the same time, and they don't see anything wrong with it. And thank you very much, Dimitri. Thank you, Dimitri, for the gifted sub as well. Let's check out this clip here. And please, if anyone else wants to support the channel, join the community, we've got a couple of non-sub chatters here, and I'm always happy to have new people, new folks in the chat, new community members. But please, if you can, subscribe to the show. And not only do you join this wonderful community, you get all the little images that I mentioned earlier, which is a huge selling point. You know, the little tiny images. Let's look at this Newsmax clip.
The orange smog here in New York City. Have you heard about it? Many cities on the East Coast primarily have this big blanket of orange smog right over the top of it.
We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
Got out of hand and,
Thank you, human person, for the 200 friend coin.
It's complicating some people's lives, but it's manageable. I'll tell you, it actually smells like wood smoke. It's not an unpleasant odor.
It's kind of nice.
It's kind of weird when it seeps into the building, but outdoors, I can deal with it. Folks with respiratory issues, though, that's a real thing, a real complication. The White House.
Maybe some of your, like we were saying, maybe some of your audience members have had COVID 6 fucking times. Yeah, maybe some of those people might have respiratory illnesses now that are going to be exacerbated by this. I love that. That's nice too. It's kind of nice. It's kind of like you got something in the smoker out back in the backyard. We all love bonfires. It's kind of like that, but through the entire eastern seaboard. What's wrong with that?
Trying to exploit this, saying it's all because of global warming and the normal talking points that go with that. I don't.
And like, take what he's saying right now. Oh, the woke, more globalists are saying it's all because of global warming. You can take that picture behind him with the apocalyptic skyline, and you can put Miami being underwater, like any of the big consequences. You can see like the thing like shape-shifting alien monsters, nightmarish alien monsters being unleashed from the Arctic permafrost. You could put that behind him. You know, you could put the entire city of LA just like totally on fire behind him, and you would be saying the same thing. They want to politicize this. They want to claim that it's climate change. It's a result of this. You could put any picture behind him and they're going to be saying the same thing. No matter how obvious these consequences get, they're going to be saying the same shit. Folks, we've got another 30 seconds left of this hype train. Are there any other wonderful, generous chatters that want to subscribe to this channel and support the work that I do here on twitch.tv, where I'm not paid a fucking salary like this motherfucker to do this?
Count on me. You're going to have good old
all
Rob
my
to talk
all
you
my
through
salary
this.
is paid by hardworking, salt of the earth individuals like yourself and the wonderful people in this community, like Steve Guy. Thank you very much, Steve Guy, for the 3 months of tier 1. Thank you for that.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old
Oh, and
Rob
thanks, Dimitri,
to
as
talk
well.
you through all this.
Thank you, Dimitri, for another gifted sub. It's very kind of you.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
And Gen X Bushy, thank you for the gifted sub as well. Hell yeah. You see, I have to update my counter manually because it doesn't work properly now for some reason. I don't know why. I should apply at Newsmax. As one of these places should hire me as even just as like the wacky left wing guy that they laugh at. You know, I could be that guy. I literally applied at Newsmax yesterday. Is that true, Gigi Allen Dulles? Oh my. They want to blame the giant crab kaiju overlord, but the only reason it's here is because they didn't offer any sacrifices. Yeah. Let's hear more from this fella.
I don't think that's the case. I think it's a forest fire. This actually has happened a couple of times before in history, and for the time being,
No, but the thing is, it hasn't. The current rate of wildfires that have happened has actually never happened before in history. That's probably an important clarification. Yes, there's always been wildfires, but when you look at the rate of fires and the amount of acres burned so far at this time of year, that's actually the first time in history that has ever happened, sir. So that's actually not accurate, what you're saying.
we can live with it, but it is pretty. It actually is pretty. It's a beautiful, interesting aura this city has right now.
Man, you know, we've talked about Verhoeven a lot, Verhoeven world, and holy shit, like this would be a scene in RoboCop that was like that Verhoeven would be like, no, that's way too ridiculous. That is way too ridiculous. Like we joke about it, but it's not even a joke though. Like we are literally living in Verhoeven world, or Verhoeven looks tame. It looks tame in comparison. You know? Like Verhoeven was holding back. You looked at some of that stuff in the 80s and you're like, oh, that's so ridiculous. But like, we're here now in the dystopian future that people like Verhoeven were imagining at the time. And it's way more absurd and ridiculous than ever he could have predicted. Would you like to know more? Let's hear that one more time. These people are unbelievable.
Actually, it's pretty. It's a and for the time being, we can live with it, but it is pretty. It actually is pretty. It's a beautiful, interesting aura the city has right now. All right, now this.
Now this, it's going to be some like trans bullshit. A school board voted to recognize Pride Month. This is the real problem, the woke mind virus. That's probably what they're pitching to right now. What they're shifting to. Spot the difference. This wasn't Verhoeven, to be clear. This is from RoboCop 2, but I think it's very much inspired by the vision that Verhoeven was putting out there, the satirical vision of the future. So I think it counts.
They say 20 seconds in the California sunshine is too much these days. Ever since you lost the ozone layer. But that was before Sunblock 5000. Just apply a pint to your body and you're good for hours. See you by the pool.
It's the blue people.
Sunblock 5000. Protection for the new age.
Oh boy. Oh boy, these people are really something else. Is there any more here? That seems to be the only wildfire content that I can see there. But you can see them doing this. They're doing their job, you know, being a front for the oil and gas industry.
Humanity is civilized in part because we are able to have fossil fuels get us around. When we talk about modern society, it would be impossible to envision a modern society without fossil fuels. So the real question is a practical one. Why are we not drilling in Anwar? Why are we not talking about drilling off the coast? We have so many parts of this country that we could be drilling, and to use a term from the past, drill, baby, drill. We create jobs. We become a domestic energy source and producer. I mean, we were getting to that energy independence under Donald Trump, and it took Joe Biden just a few short years to completely wreck it. And now the good folks at home who are working hard to make ends meet, paying $5, $6 for a dozen eggs, are now going to have to pay more to fuel up their car. And you know what? It's not like it's a luxury. We have to get to work. We have to.
Drilling in the United States has no impact on oil gas prices. Zero. That oil is being sold to other nations. It's not being used by Americans.
To go where we're going, and all those government cars are also running on fossil fuel. So the cost at every level is going up because Joe Biden's America is a dependent America, and we got to do something about it. Humanity is civilized in part.
And again, these people are paid literally by the oil and gas industry. It's not an unpleasant odor. It's a beautiful, interesting aura. These people are fucking wild. It's really something else to be able to go out there and do that. Surely that increases supply. That's right. That's what they teach you in business school in Econ 101. It's right there. It's right there. I don't know, folks. You know, I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to do. We're still only in the early stages of all the horrible consequences, too. That's what I mean. And like, these people are not going to stop. Nor their viewers, the people that are immersed in these kinds of conspiracies, they're not going to just give this shit up. The TikTok algorithm is so confusing. It's weird. Sometimes I'll do a TikTok video and it'll immediately get like 300 views and then it'll just stop. One day the TikTok algorithm is going to smile on me.
June 7, 2023, Trudeau just finishes bizarre press conference regarding the wildfires in Canada, the entire time trying to suppress his grinning and smiling.
10.8K likes on this on TikTok. First comment. He's all excited because he can't wait to announce the climate crisis lockdowns.
He talks about these horrific fires sweeping across the nation. Very bizarre.
You could hear the air quotes on there.
I spoke with Captain Kevin Corkum and Connor Scott, two firefighters in Nova Scotia. They were involved in a particular act of heroism, putting their well-being at risk, racing into a burning community to evacuate an elderly man who was unaware of the threats they were facing.
I mean, it just shows you that for all the talk about TikTok being like some kind of stealth Chinese propaganda thing, when I'm out there doing actual Chinese propaganda, it gets censored by the TikTok algorithm, while these fucking guys are the ones that get all the views and all the followers and all that shit. I wish it was a Chinese propaganda app. I'd be way more popular on there, considering doing Chinese propaganda is kind of my whole thing. It's like a big part of my personal brand now.
Always speaking with firefighters, they tried to shrug it off a little bit as it's just our job. We're just there to help people with that extraordinary modesty of heroes. But I pushed on them a little bit. I said, you guys do these things day in and day out. Firefighters are stepping up, first responders are stepping up in harrowing situations to save their fellow citizens. And when we get an opportunity to see the direct impact, and it gets a little bit of coverage and the stories get out, it is all the more important that we be there to say thank you. I actually had a nice moment with Connor.
They're turning into this conspiracy. Like, it's pretty obvious why he's smiling and smirking is because he's trying to spin this like positive human rights story out of this, right? It's not like he's excited about the climate lockdowns. He's literally just trying to spin this as this like positive human interest kind of story, you know, about the heroism of the firefighters and stuff. That's why there's not some deep conspiracy going on there. Can you get angrier about something? I guess I could. Like, I'm pretty angry. I just have this subdued way of expressing it. Maybe I need to take the gloves off.
Where he admitted that when he'd got home at the end of the day, he hadn't quite explained in detail the incident and the challenges they were facing, and his partner, who's pregnant with their child, just reading the news was a little bit worried for him. And I think a lot about partners and families of first responders. When I spoke with Kevin, I also spoke with his wife Amanda and Liam, and I want to thank right now
very bizarre.
all the families of firefighters, of first responders, of CAF.
When I get that news text, I'll do my best to get you on as the guy they talk over. Thank you.
To protect, serve, and
Thank
save
you.
Canadians from coast to coast to coast. Liam's in grade 4, and I actually asked him if he had any advice for my son, who's going into grade 4 next year, and he said it gets better. It's a little challenging, but not too bad. But having those moments to thank families and engage with the people in the front lines who are showing the very best of Canadians in stepping up is something I think we all need to be.
Imagine if you lived in a 15-minute city and wildfire approached. You would not be allowed to get in your car, just wait at home to burn to death. Exactly. That's what they want. That's what they want.
Devastating of times. In a moment, Minister
It gets
Nunn
better,
will speak
yeah.
to
Does it,
current
Justin?
status
It
of
actually is
Canadian
getting
armed
worse.
forces
Kind of
deployment
seems
in
like.
Alberta,
Kind of seems like it's getting way worse, personally,
There are
but
hundreds of armed forces members now deployed. Additionally, the CAF is helping.
They're
going
gonna
to
shoot the fires
food and supplies to
with their
people in
rifles.
Mignani, Quebec, to providing logistics support for water bombers at CFB Greenwood. Matching funds are also live for Alberta, the Northwest Territories, and Nova Scotia. So, if you can, please.
almost seems
consider
exponentially
making a
worse.
donation.
I agree. Yeah.
Before I pass it over to Minister Blair, I want to recognize the air quality statements that have been issued by Environment Canada because of wildfire smoke. People across the country are being affected. We're seeing vulnerable people at risk, outdoor events cancelled, kids having to be kept inside at recess. I can't help but think, from my conversation with Liam yesterday to conversations with my own kids, the past few years have been challenging for kids. Whether it was through the pandemic, whether it was readjusting to school, whether it's now dealing with wildfires that have everyone really worried and smoke that's preventing them from going to play outside. I want to thank kids for continuing to play safe, to be safe, and to help.
This is Trudeau speak for we're not doing anything about this. There's nothing that we can do. Just
Including all the kids who can't return to their
grin and
homes,
bear it.
all the way across the country. Please listen to your local health agencies about how to stay safe.
Now, please clap while I sign fresh
June
fossil fuel
7th,
extraction
2023,
contracts.
Trudeau just finishes bizarre press conference
Yeah,
regarding
that was not bizarre at all, but okay. Stay safe and wear a mask. Stay safe and wear a mask. So it begins, according to Beautiful Canada 8. To get filter out that particulate matter. And there's another for this. So this is like picking up steam. Notice Trudeau trying not to smirk the whole time, talking about the Canadian wildfires. You cannot tell me he's not behind these fires pushing climate change. And again, we're talking about why he's grinning, because he's talking about this like human interest story and trying to spin it in that direction. Yeah, politicians trying to prevent panic. Exactly. That is not why he's smirking. You fucking dumb fucks. I'm over it, says Joy.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. See you squirm, see you perspire. Not a word you say is true. There's
Oh, this
never
person
been
seemed...
one out of you.
I actually can't tell if this person is trying to... I can't tell if this person is trying to support or be against the people that are in all these comments. No mention of the multiple arson investigations that are ongoing. Disinformation. I have no idea where this actual creator stands on this.
Pants on fire. See you squirm.
One would think that these fires were started deliberately to push an agenda. These fires were arson with several arrests already made. It's arson and you're a fucking liar.
conspire. Not a word you say is true. There's never been one out of you.
Good. Very good.
Good morning, everybody. I wanted to touch on this one this morning.
What the hell is this guy's voice?
It's getting so bad that I don't think people really truly understand what's going on. If you haven't heard the latest up here in Canada, BC's on fire, the East Coast is on fire, and now Quebec. Quebec, all in one day, the entire province caught fire on a beautiful day.
It was not a beautiful day. It was like 40 fucking degrees.
They want to move people out of the countryside into cities. Then they want to lock them down in 15-minute cities. How do you do that? Contaminate the air, contaminate the water, and so on. They started contaminating the water, as you know, in the past few months.
Oh, in the last few months, that's been going on.
With train derailments.
They've just been contaminating the air and the water over the last few months. This has literally been going on for decades now. Our water and our air has been being polluted and contaminated for many years now, sir. The people that have been doing that fund the conservative media influencers that you get all your information from. Like, that's bizarre, right? They're contaminating our air and water. They're contaminating. That's amazing that the way that they've taken the reality and it's gone through this like prism, this like conservative, reactionary, conspiratorial prism. Sorry, I'm just Freudian slip there. The reality is being filtered through this conservative media prism, going projected back into their brain, so they like are getting, there's a certain hint of truth, and it's just gone in this fucked up crazy direction, conspiratorial direction. The idea that he's complaining about our air and water being poisoned now in 2023 from a few months ago is when they started doing this, a few months ago. And again, the oil and gas companies, these big industrial monopolies, they're the ones doing the poisoning in the first place, and they fund all the conservative media that this guy fills his brain with morning, noon, and night. It's the fascist funhouse smear, yeah. How do you break this bizarre programming? Well, I do think you have to just like, you know, like Lenin talked about the capitalist press and the corrupt press. You just got to take it over. Not that that's an easy thing to do or that we're anywhere near being able to do that, but got to take over all that shit. All the newspapers, all the TV stations, and just shut it down. That's moment one. There's many people that just can't be reached. Like, there's many people that are just completely beyond all hope of being reached. But I do think that's one thing that has to happen. You just got to take over every single media. I'd say just take over the entire media. Kick the capitalists out of the media at all. And arrest and prosecute and, you know, do other things to the people that have been running the media so far and like in perpetrating this big fucking scam on people for decades. Where they're corrupt and where they use the media to, you know, increase their own profit shares, their own profits, while muddying the waters for anyone that's trying to talk about the crimes they're committing. You got to find the people that have been part of that conspiracy in the oil and gas and the energy industry and the media, the people that have knowingly lied and perpetrated this conspiracy, and you got to do some stuff with them.
And all that stuff, all across North America, not just in Canada. And that was purposefully done to contaminate water sources and then justify people's relocation by saying the water is contaminated, you can't stay here, or the air is contaminated, you can't stay here. Relocating them into whatever, hotels or different establishments within city limits. This is all a ploy and a plan to get people into cities to implement their smart cities, and it's the only way they can control you. First, they have to go to digital currency and get you into
They're in the digital currency, the digital ID stuff. That's the only way they can control him. This man, that would never be controlled. This man would never be brainwashed. This free-thinking individual would never be controlled. He's out there fucking doing the bidding of the oil and gas company that are destroying the planet. That's the only way they get you into these 15-minute cities. I can't even talk like him. They get you into these 15-minute smart cities. That's the only way they can control you. That's the only way they can control you. They get you into those 15-minute cities. Yeah, he's describing what has been done to indigenous people for real, which he, of course, supports wholeheartedly. We poisoned the water as a pretext to put you in the city, not because it saved a bunch of money. That's right. It was actually just, we saved fucking $5 annually by pumping the poison directly into a water supply rather than just dispersing it safely. So we did, because we have a fiduciary duty to our shareholders to do so. As part of the economic system that this man would fucking die for. It's still an octave too high. It's really low. That's how they get you into those 15-minute cities. There we go. I think that was it. That was something like that. They're poisoning the air and the water supply. That's how they get you into those 15-minute cities. It's the only way they can control you. You really have to you have to bend over like that in order to do it. It's getting crashed as dummies. Once there was this prime minister who wanted to control the population, and he wanted to send you to a 15-minute city. He had vaccines in the water supply. They said it could control your brain waves for Soros. Oh, for sure. Just imagine how these fires are for biodiversity, the fires and the smoke. Absolutely. All the wildlife and different creatures that are going to be affected by this as well.
This is happening, and this is real. This is evil.
It's not real, sir.
Evil. It's our time to fight back. We need to, I'm
Please.
actually totally surprised that there isn't complete and utter outrage.
What are you waiting for, sir?
And an uprising like this world has never seen before.
What are you waiting for?
Because this is what we need to take our countries back.
Sir, you can be the spark.
Complete outrage.
Get out
and
there.
Uprising.
You're complaining on social media.
Nothing less is going to do. Nothing less is going to make this place a better world. I mean, we have to take our country back. And the way we do that,
go for it,
is we expel those that are destroying our way of life.
How are you going to do that, though?
What I mean by this,
really spell it out for us.
Exposing them is getting them out of power, forcing them one way or the other. They don't want to go willingly. That's fine. We'll help them out the door.
Please.
Anyway, that's it for
Go
today.
for it, sir.
Happy Sunday. Stay free. God bless.
Go for it, sir. It's hard to see. Can you even see that? There we go. Maybe I'll give it a little, help give it a little push. Who's this lady?
Hey, Trudeau. Yeah? Guess what? What? We're smart. Yeah? Yeah, because those people can't breathe in this shit. Look at that. I know, right? Oh, shit. What? Neither can I! Can you? Oh, shit. No, I can't. Oh, Trudeau, you're a dumbass. Hey, Trudeau. Yeah?
Hilarious. Oh, there's this guy too. I saw this guy yesterday.
How's it going, guys? So with the wildfires going on in Canada, it reminds me of something that people have asked me questions in this on, relating back to the last few years and all the concerns people have had.
Who sees if 22 minutes needs work?
Right.
I agree.
Like you said, the gig is up. Canadians aren't putting up with it, but they will push that boiling point. And I think it's, is it around the corner? Maybe, but you're not going to need a speech to tell you. Everybody's going to know. And
go for it.
So don't look for it. Just, it'll be there.
Go for it. I encourage all these people to act on all their violent fantasies about this. I encourage all these people to get out there. Who's this guy?
The Liberals and the NDP aren't the ones starting wildfires, right? Because they got nothing to gain from this. But who does get to gain from this, right? You got to follow the money. And I'm going to tell you who. Fucking Jack Links. That's right. Jack Links Beef Jerky and McSweeney's. They're in this together. You see, because what's happening now is now all the cattle has been pre-smoked, right? So it's going to be way easier for them to produce their beef jerky. But then they're buying it for cheap and they're putting it in the stores for super high prices, increasing their profit margin.
That's making a lot of sense to me.
That's the sons of bitches you got to keep your eyes on. It's the beef jerky boys. The Liberals and the NDP.
That guy's onto something. There's so much of this shit on there. What else? What other weirdos do we have going on here? It's not looking good, folks.
Canada is experiencing a lot of wildfires, and this is what our corrupt, feckless clown of a prime minister has to say about the issue. And here's what's actually going on.
It's got a Bernier. It's got a Bernier tweet he's linked to. I'm going to tell you, Canada United on TikTok, aka Jordan. You can trust me. Guy in car wearing sunglasses with a Maxime Bernier tweet here. He says, I bet a good portion of the wildfires raging across the country were started by green terrorists who want to give their climate change campaign a little boost.
Justin Trudeau thinks that Canadians are dumb enough to believe that this is climate change.
This guy's not dumb.
You have climate change quacks, crazies, psychos starting fires across Canada so that he can politically grandstand, and Jagmeet Singh, his little prop-up buddy, saying that it's climate change. And if you look at the World Economic Forum, what they're going to do, and the land use bylaws that they're bringing across municipalities across Canada, they're going to try to appropriate your land based on climate emergency, move you into 15-minute cities. This is their end game. This is their goal. Are you going to let them?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are going to let them. You're not going to do shit, sir. 15-minute cities. We're still talking about this. There's Chris Sky, of course. The good content zone is when you're combining the wildfires with the 15-minute cities. That's when you're in the sweet spot. Oh, here we go. Here's the good shit.
Hello and welcome.
Here's the good
Canada's
shit, folks.
burning.
We're talking about DARPA.
This is
There
some
we
guy,
go.
Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Dan, thank you for the raid. Thank you to our friend Dan Simpson. Thank you, Dan Simpson. How is the Dan Simpson show today? Thank you for the raid. Thank you for joining us. Dan's got that really good raid alert with the part. I always really enjoy that, seeing Dan do that. That's always fun. Anyway, we're digging into the wildfire conspiracies. We're digging into the wildfire conspiracies because the idea that human activity and industrial activity and carbon emissions are leading to climate change, leading to the earth getting warmer, leading to certain things like wildfires, which have always occurred, becoming exacerbated and getting worse. That idea is just so far-fetched to them. They can't wrap their minds around it, so they're reaching around for other solutions, and we're getting really into the nitty-gritty of what these people are getting into here. Anything to avoid socialism, that's right. And they'll cling to anything at all. And now we're talking about DARPA. This is the real good shit here.
Hello and welcome.
Like the
Canada's
weather controlling
burning
stuff.
from west coast to east. So here's my conspiracy theory.
Please.
How come all of these fires, wherever they started simultaneously at several places, miles apart? There are a couple of videos that I happened to see. And whoever is in that area,
Iron your shirt,
happen
sir.
to get the first-hand experience of this, let me know or comment on this video if it reaches you. So here's my conspiracy theory. The residue is very questionable from this fire wherever it's gathering. DARPA, HARP.
Oh yeah.
Microwaves.
Yes.
But what's the actual reason behind all this? Is it to make people flee towards the cities, make it convenient for the governments to invent the 15-minute cities?
This guy could be doing...
Let me know. Hello and welcome. Canada's burning.
That was kind of a cop-out. Sometimes these people do the whole conspiracy thing and then they transition to like, oh no, it's the real thing. He hinted at the good shit, but he was not afraid to commit. And I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. If you're going to hint at like DARPA and HARP using microwave weather changing like lasers to start forest fires and shepherd people into cities, I think you should spell that out for people. None of this like you go halfway there and let people fill in the blanks. No, fuck that. If that's what you think, I think you should be saying that. You should be open and honest about that. They're torching the forest to herd us into the cities. No, that's what these people believe. Like that's what these people all are into.
So everybody is just going to believe that this is global warming?
Yes.
That
Sounds like you're with a toddler. Maybe you should just be spending quality time with your fucking kids in the few remaining years of like a livable ecosystem that he's got.
aren't being set. Oh man. If you believe that this isn't something bigger, you're nuts. This is covering something, don't know what.
You don't know what? No, why? You don't need to know. You just know that it's something, don't you? It's a distraction.
Quite a few years, probably more than you would guess. And I've never seen this. Yet all
Maybe
of our
that's evidence that it's actually a serious issue that you should take seriously, sir.
So it's global warming besides our water. Maybe somebody can help me
No.
figure it out.
No one can. No one can help you.
Another something I thought is
Please enlighten
everybody's
us.
saying they're going to go live in the woods and up north, and how do you live in the woods if there's no woods?
Good question.
15-minute cities
K Bono.
are the push, so
Yeah.
I
Man,
guess that's it.
Oh, man. You know, you have to laugh. You have to laugh, folks. What's the alternative? What is the alternative? You just gotta laugh sometimes. You just gotta laugh.
The 15-minute cities, they will have to have those before they can lock you down. And that's what we're talking about here. So in Great Britain, some county already passed legislation. They will be able to impose a
Yeah, they keep acting like, that's a good point. They keep acting like the ruling class needs to do distractions. The MSM just tells whatever lies are necessary and ignores real shit. You don't need a distraction with that. And again, like all these people, as much as they think that they're these free thinkers, they're all getting all their information second and third hand from the oil and gas industry, which funds all the media that they're immersed in. I hate the idea of everything I need being a 15-minute walk away. And this is what we've been talking about. Like, they're freaking out over these like smart urban designed ideas, which we may or may not implement. The idea of having more green spaces, better transit, more stuff in your neighborhood so you don't have to drive around and sit in traffic in your fucking car all the time. That's it. And these people have spun that into this vast conspiracy. And that all of these environmental consequences, which, as we've talked about, ecologists and environmental scientists have been warning about for literally decades. Now that these things are happening, instead of just accepting the fact that they've been lied to or misled about this stuff by these reactionary media institutions, they're grasping onto this fucking conspiracy theory, or pretending that the idea of this kind of smart urban design is some kind of like concentration camp that they want to stash them in.
climate lockdown. That's the next step. That's what we're talking about. So in order to do that, they will have to have these 15-minute cities. The next step then, of course, will be you are only allowed to leave your immediate area for, let's say, 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah, from the Epic
but there's other
Times.
people-
This guy thinks he's a free thinker, and he's watching this fucking clip sponsored by the Epic Times, as this person talks about, sponsored by a like reactionary Chinese religious cult. And this guy's like, all these sheeple paying attention to the climate scientists, not like me. Not like me, I'm a free thinker. Falun Gong is Korean? I thought it was like a reactionary Chinese sect doing that. I mean, I know they talk a lot about how evil China is as a big part of their like platform. Yeah. I thought it was Chinese. The Moonies are Korean. Yeah, that's a different religious cult. That's a different reactionary religious cult. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
people that may have more money, and they can actually buy your passings off of you. So guess what? The poor people will be left in these 15-minute neighborhoods, while the ones that are better off get to go.
Unlike our system now, when poor people are just doing really great, and the people that are doing better off are not doing all that well. You know? Under our system now, everyone's really thriving. We wouldn't want this kind of a situation where people that have less income or people that are poor are living in cities with better green spaces and transit and public amenities. We wouldn't want that for them. That'd be really terrifying. I'd never get sucked into a cult. That's right. Hey, Lana, what's up? These people are really just unbelievable.
Wherever they want to go. So this is what we're talking about, you know. Look at Saudi Arabia, for instance. They're pulling up Neom City. They call it the
Look at this
Line.
guy, just like,
So this is like a structure in the
I'm going to do
middle
it to
of the
you.
desert,
See how you like
200
it, sir.
kilometers long, 200 meters wide, 500 meters high, and it will house up to 9 million people. Oh, isn't that just brilliant? If I wanted to get total control of the people, that's exactly where and how I would house them. And then having them on a three meals a day prescription. Well, guess what will happen if you do not do as you are told?
You guys seeing this
They will
shit?
probably
Yeah, that's what he's
cancel
doing.
that. It's so easy. So that's what we're talking about. And when you really take all of this
What was that?
together,
What's this? What is he saying?
cancel that. It's so easy. So that's what we're talking about. And when you really take all
Say,
of
what's
this
up?
together,
Wake
there
up.
is
Okay,
no
there we
other
go.
way for
Yeah.
me to
You
actually
look like you need to
say
wake up,
this.
sir. You look like you're a little sleepy.
It will be a complete impoverishment and
Again,
enslavement.
this guy's getting information, second and third hand information from a Chinese-based religious cult. And he's so confident in his ability to be a critical thinker and a free thinker that would never be sucked into a cult or never would be part of some kind of like media bubble. You know, never this guy. He's way too smart for that. You got to wake up. You know? This is the laziest React content. I need to start doing more of this too. You can get good engagement like this. Just lie in bed and fucking just go. I'm going to do that with videos of Stalin. That's what I'm going to start doing. But did you consider it confirms his preconceived notions, therefore it's valid? That's a good question. That's a good point as well. Lying in bed, just like Brian Wilson did. Great song. These people are really something else. This lady's doing like a debunking thing. Eating pizza. I don't know. Maybe we don't need to look at any more of these weirdos. Maybe we don't need to look at any more of these weirdos. I don't know. Is that guy again? Is that the same guy, I think? I'm not exactly filled with optimism when I look at this stuff. I will say. I'll say that much. I very much enjoy hanging out with you, Chad, and breaking the stuff down. It makes me feel, you know, a little less insane. I'm not filled with optimism that like this, there's so many of these people that are into this stuff now in this society. And that like, it's just the worse things get, the worse that they're going to be. They will never accept that they were wrong about any of this stuff. Never. You know? I don't think they're the majority though. Sometimes they feel like they're the majority because they're so fucking loud and annoying. I don't think they're the majority. They're a very vocal minority. I think there's still many people that we can be pull into our movement and in our into our analysis. But like I said, it's like we're not going to be able to like do that by reaching out to these people, by wrapping ourselves in the flag or whatever, you know? We're not just going to wrap ourselves with the Canadian and the American flag and then talk about how socialism is the way out of these things. And these people are going to go, oh, golly, I was wrong all my life about this. Like, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. I think I'm going to take a little brief break in a few moments, folks. I'll just remind everyone one more time, if you're just showing up, if you're new to the stream, if you're a lurker or a non-subbed chatter, please do, if you can, subscribe to TRRS. If you want an antidote to some of the pessimism and the doomerism or whatever it is, that's what this community is, and that's what this show is. And we can talk about these things, we can break them down, we can feel a connection with one another, we can feel like there's a way through all this. But the only way that this show stays on the air is through the generosity of the TRRS community members. So if you can, if you're new to the stream, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to this program. Every little bit helps keep this show on the air. You can be part of this wonderful, exciting, dynamic community, and you can get a bunch of tiny little images. You get some tiny little images to show in Twitch chat. And I've got some of the best tiny images in this whole goddamn platform. I'll tell you that much. So please, if you can, folks, subscribe. Subscribe to TRRS. Every little bit is very, very helpful. So just wait a brief moment for all the subs. I'm sure they're clogging up the pipes. All the subs are clogging up the pipes.
This is.
Just wait a few minutes for all those to come through. The constant forehead smooches. That's right. Every sub is a little forehead smooch. Whenever I start to get down, I just remember to thank goodness that the free hand of neoliberal market capitalism will respond to fix global warming.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you very much, Moss. Thank you, Moss, for the 3 gifted subs. That's so kind of you. Thanks, Moss. I really appreciate that. Thank you. People in this community are so unbelievably generous. And really, this whole show would not exist without you. That's not pandering. That's not an exaggeration. That's the God's honest truth. So thank you very much to everybody that supports this channel. Very, very much appreciated.
Count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Oh, goodness. And low observable goat. Look at that. 23 months of prime from low observable goat. 1 agonizingly close month away from the highly elite. Highly exclusive. 24-month, 2-year, golden, shimmering, golden TRRS sub badge. Thank you, GOAT, for the prime. Also, this seems like an actually helpful thing about the wildfires. So maybe we can take a look at that. I'm starting to get the 3 p.m. sleepies. I'm getting close to the 3 p.m. sleepies, so I don't know how much more energy I got going on here. But let's take a look at this. Maybe we can actually learn something important from this, rather than just immersing ourselves in
we simply
brain
use the
poisoning.
computer to mark up the size of the account.
Blamey Badman.
Thank you, Matt, for the 200 friend coin. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
Have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Subbing is possible even without a silly smile. Wow.
And Tartar Raclette, thank you as well for the 7 months of tier 1. Exactly. I don't even have to debase myself sometimes. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. Let's be clear about this. Sometimes I do absolutely debase myself, but not all the time, though. Is the main thing. I'm actually seeing some blue sky outside for the first time in a while. I feel almost bad considering I live in Quebec where these fires are coming from, and the last couple of days at least, I've managed to avoid the worst effects of it. But again, I know our time is going to come. Our time is gonna come. Okay, let me put this on. I'm just going to go to the bathroom. I'll get a little beverage. I'll come back. We'll take a look at more of this. And we'll finish up for the day. I'll be right back, folks.
Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York, joined by Democracy Now! Co-host Nermeen Sheikh. Hi, Nermeen.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
It's good to see you here in the studio. If we were outside here in New York, it would be a bit more difficult. Over 90 million people across large swaths of the United States and Canada woke up to hazy skies and air quality alerts for a third straight day today as thick smoke from Canadian wildfires continues to blanket areas as far west as Kansas, as far south as the Carolinas. Here in New York City, the sky turned orange Wednesday as the city's air became the most polluted in the world. New York Governor Kathy Hochul called the situation an emergency crisis.
It has an immediate impact on people's health. Irritation to the eyes, the nose, breathing, coughing, and even shortness of breath. So our message right now is going to be reiterated multiple times because it is simply stay indoors.
As people were urged to stay inside, delivery workers took to social media to share pictures of themselves still working in the extreme conditions. A number of schools have closed due to the smoke, along with public parks. Hospital emergency rooms reported an increase in patients with respiratory issues. Flights were grounded at airports in the Northeast. Health experts are advising people who need to be outdoors to wear an N95 mask, if possible, to block out the dangerous fine particulate matter from the smoke. Forecasters expect the smoke to move south and west later today. Climate scientists say this comes amidst a steep increase in wildfires during the 21st century due to hotter temperatures and drier conditions created by climate change. Meanwhile, to the north in Canada, many of the fires generating the smoke continue to burn out of control. This is Canadian Federal Minister of Emergency Preparedness Bill Blair speaking Wednesday.
As of today, there are 2,293 wildfires that have occurred in Canada. Approximately 3.8 million hectares have been burned. And across the country, as of today, there are 414 wildfires burning, 239 of which are determined to be out of control. Also, as of today, an estimated 20,183 people remain evacuated from their homes and communities.
Also on Wednesday, Democracy Now! Spoke to Brandy Marin, a Cree Iroquois French journalist based in Alberta, Canada, after she returned from reporting on the wildfires raging in the remote Indigenous community of Fort Chippewa.
I was in the northern part of Alberta in a remote Indigenous community of Fort Chippewa that has been evacuated. It's only accessible by boat or plane, and the fire is encroaching on their community. It's about 7 kilometers away. It's nearly 25,000 hectares. It's massive. But what is significant about this community is that it is the epicenter of the effects of climate change because it's downstream from one of the largest oil production developments in the world, Alberta's oil sands. And so they've been dealing with, pollution and the impacts to their lands and to their health for many years now. And they just got through these oil companies dumping toxic tailings into their river just a couple of months ago. Their leaders were, testifying in Ottawa. This community has experienced kind of trauma after trauma, and now they're literally getting burned out. It's insane. We are in an emergency here in Canada. We are experiencing unprecedented.
Check. I'm not muted. Okay, yeah, low observable goat. You're saying, I wonder if the right's going to mask up. We actually just spent the last, almost 2 hours looking at all the wacky conservative conspiracy theory types who are not only not going to mask up, but assume that this is all part of some nefarious plot to force them not only to wear masks, but to be shepherded into these 15-minute cities where they can be controlled by the World Economic Forum globalist agenda or whatever it is. So to answer your question, no, they will not be masking up. No.
wildfires. The federal government is predicting that it's only going to get more severe as we get further into the summer season. This is going to be our norm. We are starting to get into the thick of the effects of climate change, and it affects us all as a whole. The smoke from Alberta to Ontario,
You'll be able to get anything you need in 15 minutes. It's basically hell. That's right.
Crisis that
it's basically a concentration camp.
To where whole communities who are the least contributors. I mean, our Native communities are the least contributors to this, and we are the most impacted to where they are.
Well, here's my problem, Lana, is that I don't think that like they will win these kinds, even though I don't want to discount that idea either. But these people do represent a huge impediment to anything positive actually happening. So like they may not win, but we will still definitely lose if these people are, even if they're a huge minority, even if they are a minority, they do represent a huge barricade to actual genuine progress happening in any direction. They're the boulder that can still be rolled uphill, yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's insurmountable either, but I think sometimes I have to just dip my little toe into not to mention toes or anything like that, but into the insanity of it. I'm being so angry at convenience. These are people that like their whole suburban lifestyle of like cars and strip malls is all based around convenience. Like, what if we made it even more convenient? They're like, you're literally a Nazi. That's literally what the Nazis did. Famously. Famously, the Nazis put Jews in cities where they could go to the grocery store in 15 minutes. That's what they're known for. And having green spaces in public transit. That's what the Nazis were doing to the Jews. We all remember.
Are, fleeing their homes and their livelihoods.
That's Cree Iroquois French journalist Brandy Marin, who just returned from reporting on the wildfires raging in the remote Indigenous community of Fort Chippewa in Canada. For more, we return to New York, where the smoky skies around our office here in Manhattan were documented by our producer, Messiah Rhodes. Yes, New York City now the epicenter, the worst air quality in the world.
The Warsaw Ghetto was the first 15-minute city. That's right.
I wanted to read first a quote of Bill McKibben.
How dare you infringe on my freedom to commute 2 hours to work every day? Like, the funny thing is, like, GRTE 84, like, you're saying that as a joke, obviously, but they're actually saying that unironically. They're like, it's my God-given. I sit in traffic, and that's when I communicate with my kids, and we spend time together. Like they're literally, unironically saying that. How dare you say that I shouldn't be sitting in traffic all day? There's like a non-zero number of people that completely do believe that taking them like out, making them so they don't sit in traffic for 2 fucking hours a day is some like infringement on their rights. I fucking love having a boss, damn it. I just wish that government would get off my boss's back.
Who says, today is our chance to understand what it really feels like every day on a fossil-fueled planet for the billions of people unlucky enough to really bear the brunt. He said, my eyes are stinging a bit from the smoke, but I've never seen more clearly. David Wallace Wells echoes the sentiment. He is a New York Times opinion writer. His latest columns headlined, There's No Escape from Wildfire Smoke. And as smoke darkens the sky, the future becomes clear. David is author of The Uninhabitable Earth, Life After Warming. Welcome back to Democracy Now!, David. It's great to have you with us. As smoke darkens the sky, the future becomes clear. Talk about what we're experiencing here in New York and through on many parts of the United States, how it connects to Canada and what's happening there, and how all of this relates to the climate catastrophe.
Well, in New York and all across the eastern seaboard, we are breathing in toxic air. Everyone who's outside can see it, can feel it in their nose, in their eyes, can taste it in their mouths. This is not...
According to the coal industry Raytheon Climate Science Research Institute, it's actually totally fine and healthy to do that, though, sir. So, fake news.
Not just unhealthy air, it's at levels that have been judged to be hazardous. And while it's true that the U.S., New York is these days registering the unhealthiest air quality in the world, it's not just that we are breathing the equivalent air that people in Delhi breathe every year, where in that city, the average resident loses 9+ years of life expectancy thanks to air pollution. The pollution in New York City yesterday was actually considerably worse than that. We're going to be, that smog is going to diminish over the next few days. We're going to return to something that feels probably unhealthy, but somewhat like normal. People in Delhi and all across the developing world don't have that luxury. While they don't reach peaks like this, they also don't get to troughs like we're going to get to. But it means that everybody across one of the most densely populated places in the world is suffering to some degree from the consequence of wildfires, which are driven and powered by climate change. And what's really striking to me about this experience is, as a native New Yorker who's lived his whole life in New York, I used to look at the fires in California with horror, but also with a little bit of relief to say that this was a climate disaster that was affecting people, ruining many lives, harming millions of people's health. But it was distant and it felt quarantinable to me. I knew enough people in California to know that they had moved on from being scared directly of fire to being scared of smoke, but I didn't really reckon with until this year just how unquarantinable, how uncontainable that smoke threat is.
I don't trust this guy either. Yeah, no sunglasses. He's wearing a shirt, not inside a truck. That screams woke WEF Soros-funded globalist to me.
60% of the smoke impact of wildfires is felt outside the state in which those fires are burning. And even if we started to wrap our minds around that over the last couple of years, I think this smoke event, which is coming from another country, is another level of distance entirely. And it's a reminder that this is not a crisis that is escapable. No matter where you live, no matter how modern the metropolis that you live in is, no matter how distant you may feel from the impacts of the degradation of the natural world, no matter where you are, you will face some of these impacts.
Lying shirtless on his bed, I would buy it.
And
seriously.
In a case like today in New York, it will feel quite claustrophobically apocalyptic. It's not going to be forever. We're not going to be breathing this air 6 months from now, presumably. But who knows really what the course of these fires and the smoke will be, given that so much of Canada is today burning genuinely out of control.
A lot of forests in Canada.
When you look at the map of the fires of the country, it's awash in red marks of out-of-control fires. And to this point, the country has experienced something like 14 times as much land burning as they have experienced on average over the last decade. And that's a remarkable, unbelievable, unprecedented amount of burning, especially when you consider that the baseline comparison
the
of the
Newsmax
last
thing was
decade
incredible.
Was itself enormously elevated because we are living in a degraded climate with more and more fires. And so when we say Canada has burned 14 times more land than over the last decade, that decade would have been an unthinkable amount of burning a decade or two before that. So we're heading into a future defined by many more of these fires and much more of this smoke. And the more that we are learning about the health impacts of that smoke, the scarier and more uncomfortable it truly is. It's we think about respiratory ailments, but it affects cancers of all kinds. It affects developmental issues. It changes rates of schizophrenia, ADHD, autism, premature birth, low birth weight, and the effect on economic productivity and cognition is so profound that according to U.S. Census Bureau working paper published last year, exposure to air pollution alone can account for something like a quarter.
Canada just surpassed 4 million hectares burned this year. For comparison, last year, only 28,000 hectares had burned by June 7th. Okay, so pretty significant difference there between 4 million. I'm not a huge math guy. 4 million versus 28,000. Yeah, that does seem to be pretty big discrepancy.
quarter of the black, white, and Hispanic white wage gap in the United States. Thankfully, over the last few decades, because of the Clean Air Act, we've undone a lot of the damage of air pollution, but wildfire is reversing that trend. And in
I'm sure whatever reactionary government's going to get rid of that, though. Clean Air Act
came from wildfire, which means that there was
get rid of
more
it.
pollution that people in the western U.S. were breathing and suffering from in that year than from all other human and industrial activity combined. And we're going in the right direction on human and industrial activity. We're going to be drawing down that pollution. But wildfire is moving in the other direction and is much less controllable. And as a result, I think, much scarier.
He's also, like, am I crazy? He's a little bit talking about the way that we're drawing down from industrial activity, but we're just outsourcing it to other countries, though, like China, which we then blame for the climate change. It's not like we're manufacturing less stuff. We're just getting other countries where there's cheaper labor to manufacture the stuff so we don't have to. GHG emissions are still increasing. Yeah. Yeah, we're manufacturing more. Good.
So, David, we're going to get more into the causes of these wildfires, why they've become more widespread as well as more intense. But I just want to point out to our television viewers that you are in New York City, but the background that you're sitting in front of is just stock photo. That is not what New York City looks like at the moment. So in your, you wrote a piece for the London Review of Books in 2021 where you cited the work of Stephen Pine, who calls this our present era, the era of the Pyrocene. So could you explain what that means and put it into the context of what we're witnessing now with these wildfires in Canada and their widespread effects?
Well, Stephen Pine is a fire historian, especially eloquent and poetic one. And as a fire historian, he has a quite long historical view. And that includes periods of time in which there was considerably more burning in the world's forests, and especially in places like the western U.S. than we're seeing today. But of course, we had many fewer human settlements there. So, you know, it may be the case that in California every year, 5,000 years ago, there were millions of acres burning, but there weren't 40 million people living in that state, breathing that toxic smoke. And there weren't 330 million people in the United States breathing it in either. And his perspective is that in part because of the burning of fossil fuels and the relentless addition of carbon emissions to the atmosphere that we've undertaken, especially in the West, but increasingly all around the world over the last couple of decades, we are moving from a familiar but quite forbidding fire regime, global fire regime that we've lived under over the last couple of centuries into one in which we're probably still going to be burning some more fossil fuels going forward, doing more damage to the planet's climate. And producing...
and as I talked about with Jeremy, we can't just eliminate the oil and gas industry overnight. There does need to be a transition. We do still need to have an oil gas industry for a little while. We got to keep the lights on for everyone while we initiate this transition. So we just need a oil and gas Chavez or a climate Stalin, right? That's what we need. We can't just get rid of oil and gas overnight, but we can nationalize it. We can make it so if we have to still have this industry, we can like turn the profits for it into good things, you know, and we can also punish the people that have been responsible for destroying the planet thus far. If we're going to have an oil and gas industry, we need an oil and gas Chavez or Stalin. I think it's worth noting that China is also forging ahead on a lot of green projects that we just aren't doing. Yeah, I mean, as we've talked about a million times, like any serious climate plan has to involve massive increase in transit in cities and with high-speed rail. And we're doing nothing. Less than nothing. We're doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on car infrastructure and electric vehicles. Like I said in that tweet, we're doing electric vehicle tax credits while they're building hundreds of thousands of kilometers of rail and engaging in all these other green projects. Like we talked about, they are a serious emitter, partially because of them and our entire manufacturing industry being located there. But they also are involved in a process of shifting into a less pollution-heavy form of energy creation. But I think the difference between China and us is they're honest about the fact that this is going to still take a little bit of time, whereas we're just being like, no, we're going to solve this no problem with carbon capture, and we're going to plant 1 billion trees. We're saying all this stuff that we're not doing. We're going to be net zero by 2030. We're going to be net zero by 2032, whatever it is, while having no actual plan in place to get to that, and being totally reliant on the very oil and gas companies that caused the problem in the first place. Whereas they're saying, we're going to do it by this date. And they've been pretty good at hitting all their benchmarks so far in terms of their whole transition, their whole development process. So I see no reason not to give them the benefit of the doubt when they say that they do intend to still engage in this transition. You know? Like, we're completely full of shit with this stuff. Oh yeah, we're gonna Shell and Exxon are now they're all about green energy, and they're all about this transition to net zero. We're gonna rely on them. We're gonna rely on them to get us to net zero. You know, it's just complete meaningless, and it's all based on technology again, like carbon capture that does not exist. You know what is carbon capture technology that exists? What if I told you folks we had an amazing carbon capture technology? It exists right now. It doesn't need to be invented. You don't need any R&D. You don't need any even resources. It exists already. It's called a forest. That's our biggest, carbon sinks that we have, our carbon capture technology. What's going on with those, by the way? What are we doing with those? Like in the Amazon, we're clear cutting that to build create space for cows to graze so they can be slaughtered for beef. And here they're all just burning to the ground. Yeah, instead we invest in the private sector to make strides so that their CEOs can take private jets that release more emissions than a family of 4 does in 10 years. This is all we got. This is the only idea we have. Rob hates steak. I get it. Well, that's the problem with me. It's like I absolutely love steak and burgers. I absolutely love a delicious steak or a delicious burger. But the reality is, we are indeed cutting down millions of acres of forest that we do actually need to still be there in order to have land in which we raise cattle to eat. That's just that's a dialectic, and I love it. I love a nice ribeye. I love a nice burger. I had a burger yesterday. It was fantastic. From McDonald's. A McDouble. I loved every moment of it. Yet still, it's still a problem. Look, we're banning the sale of new petrol engine cars in 2030. What more do you want? That's right. We still think we can just do this transition and still just base our entire society on and urban planning on car culture. Those Impossible Burgers are pretty good. I get them from A&W sometime, and they're very good. That is true. I really do enjoy those. Degrowth is a bad word, but it's the answer. I mean, it's like, I think it's especially difficult to ask like poor and working class people to be like, to have less and to sacrifice so much when they're not the cause of a lot of these problems. I feel like there is a way to make sure that people still, like, you can call it degrowth if you want, but I think we can still have a high quality of life for people. While still changing our lifestyle in big drastic ways. But that's not what we're doing, though. That's not what we're doing. We're doing this like fake third direction where we maintain or increase the lifestyle while giving kind of lip service to certain environmental initiatives that we're not following through on. We can have better lives that cut out a lot of the waste and redistribute the resources that we have, for sure, and feed more people. Like there's, in the current system now where we're mass producing so much, more people than ever are going hungry. We just throw out all the extra food that gets made. Like a planned economy with a few tweaks and a few lifestyle changes could still have a really high living standard for a lot of people. Yeah, degrowth for the capitalist class, for sure. Absolutely. Degrowth is for the... This is a good point, too. A secret third thing, yeah. Degrowth is for the first world, mostly affects the military-industrial complex and big corporations more than individuals. Yeah, and I think if we're going to use that term, like that's where we should make that understanding. Have that understanding of it. You know, degrowth, if we meant abolishing the military-industrial complex, that would have no real impact on anyone's quality of life. And in fact, around the world, it would have a significant increase in people's quality of life, just getting rid of that. I agree Justin Potier is much better than this guy. Completely agree. This is from 4 months ago. I didn't see this on Breakthrough News, but this is actually seems like a great video. I really enjoyed talking to Justin. I got to bring him back on this show. I agree that he's much better than this guy. And in fact, I don't even think I'm going to make it through the rest of this video. But it's been an interesting jumping off point for some good discussion though, right, chat? Degrowth from specifically the neck down for a very specific class of capitalists. Not something I would ever advocate for, obviously, but I do respect your right to say it. The vast majority of consumer goods is designed to fail way sooner than it needs to, simply because they want to sell you a new one. Yeah, for sure. That's what I mean. Like, we can still maintain the quality of life, but we can't under this kind of economic model. With a planned economy and with a few changes in the way that these things work. Justin Potter is way better. He speaks directly about decolonization as a key to fighting climate catastrophe. Well, you know what? Since I had him on a few weeks ago to talk about China and the foreign policy stuff, but maybe it would be good to have him back to talk about this exact subject. Because I had a fantastic conversation with him the last time he was on the show. Imagine the distribution system that already exists for consumerism, but instead it's to ensure everyone has their needs met. Yeah, and we can have this. We can have this. But it's going to require some pretty radical shifts in the way our society and our economy is organized, which, as we know, our entire liberal democracy is designed to ensure never happens. That's kind of the contradiction there, or the dialectic. Yes, and we can have trains and transit as well, and beautiful green spaces to spend time in with our families. And we could use automation and these new emerging technologies to work less instead of more. And we could decommodify the housing market so people could have a place to live and not break their fucking backs trying to afford it. What I find funny is that people against planned economies on principle often support capitalism, which is a planned, but in a very different way for a very specific class. Of course, yeah. I mean, the most fervent defenders of capitalism are people that own no capital whatsoever and really don't even benefit from this system in many serious ways. I've been saying this. Apartment blocks with green spaces and rooftop jacuzzis. I love it. I love it. I love it. This has been a great discussion, folks. This has been a fantastic episode of TRRS. Another fantastic episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in and chatting and hanging out today. I got to get going to pick up my kid from school soon. I'll make one final call for possible generous community members that want to support TRRS. You enjoyed this discussion, you enjoy the content, you want to see more of it, please, if you can, subscribe to TRRS. It's $5 per month. It's completely free of charge with an Amazon Prime account. Every little bit helps. I got to keep feeding this kid nuggets, until we have a planned economy, fake nugget factory that churns these things out. I got to keep going for the real thing, and it's getting pricey. Eats a lot of nuggets, this guy. And every sub contributes to that, to the Nugget Fund. Keep Rob's kid in nuggies, exactly. Access to cheap nuggets should really be a central part of our planned economy that we're advocating for, We can all benefit that.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you, Fart Party 69. Thank you, Fart Party
We
69,
simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account.
for the gifted sub. Valued community member Fart Party 69. And thanks Lana as well for 100 friend coin. Another extremely valued community member. Our friend Lana. Currency Yoked Nugget prize. That's right. We simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account. Yes, we do. Scanners was really good. The last scene gave me high blood pressure. Yeah, I honestly, I really wanted to watch it, Marty. I'm kind of disappointed that I couldn't. Like I said earlier, just it took a while for... Oh, shit, no, I don't want that. It took a while for my kid to fall asleep. Fuck, what am I doing? And by the time, so I missed the beginning of the movie, and then
you can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob.
I was watching
to,
basketball,
talk you through all
watching
this.
the basketball game. Thank you, Old Dutch, for the gifted sub. I really appreciate
You can
that,
count
Old
on
Dutch.
me.
Thank
You're
you.
gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
White Men
Nuggets
Can
secured.
White Men Can Jump. I will definitely be there for. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. I'm very much looking forward to watching that with the community. And thank you, Leftward Ho, for the sub as well. 18 months of tier 1 from Leftward Ho. Thank you for contributing to the Nugget Fund. Yeah, I did see the story about Cooper Scooper leaving Global News now that they're in legal trouble because of his CSIS press releases that he's been doing. That's what I was wondering. I thought maybe he was going to leave Global and just formalize the relationship and just go ahead and work for CSIS directly now. Because of the CSIS fan fiction he's been publishing in our mainstream media journals. I wonder if Canada Land stands by their garbage up with them. I imagine they do. So, folks, listen, I'm not expecting it to happen. And if it doesn't happen, it's totally fine. When I'm at 25 subs, though, it would be like not doing my basic responsibility to just simply say that one generous chatter could not only get TRRS to the sub goal today, but also trigger the highly exclusive and cool 10 gift sub alert. And again, it's okay if that doesn't happen. I'm not expecting it to happen. I'm not telling you what to do. I would be not fulfilling my basic responsibility here if I didn't just mention this. If I didn't just mention the fact that one very generous chatter could trigger a very cool alert, the 10 gift sub alert, and get to the sub goal. But if you know what? If it doesn't happen, that's okay too. That's fine. I'm broke from funding all those Antifa forest fire projects. Well, that's okay. Obviously, I know it's where most of people's attention and resources are going to these days. Trigger an ultra special alert and be showered with clout. I mean, it's pretty much a win-win, if you ask me. But again, I'm not telling anyone what to do. Nor would I ever feel comfortable doing that. Oh, good. Updated monetized streamer agreement available. That sounds pretty sinister from Twitch. Xi Jinping, please step up. We need you. We need you, sir. I think I'm going to raid pro wrestler Adam Cole. aka The Chugs. I was just watching his promo from AEW last night that he did with MJF, which I quite enjoyed a lot. So I think we're gonna raid pro wrestler and pro streamer as well. He's playing Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom.
You can count on me. You're gonna have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Thank you very much, human person, for the gifted sub. Thank you so much. I love Don Callis as well. Okay, did I spell this right? Am I doing this right? Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's the Rob message. There we go. Good. The robbed message. You've been robbed, baby. Also, it's Joshi night. I'll try to make it for Joshi night. At least, I will try to at least put in an appearance for that, because that's always very enjoyable. Thank you again very much, human person, for the gifted sub. I really appreciate that. So give my regards to friend of the stream, Adam Cole, aka the Chugs. Maybe we can convert Adam Cole to the immortal science of Marxism-Leninism. That would be a good gimmick. There's not enough Marxist-Leninist pro wrestlers. I would like to see more of that. Like, there was Nikolai Volkov back in the day, but he seemed like kind of a cartoonish portrayal. He was never really out there talking about theory or anything. He was mostly just waving the Soviet flag around and getting beat up. You know? I would like a real dialectical materialist out there. Yeah, the David Starr thing was... I'll start texting Ryback. Get the big guy. The big guy. Thanks, folks. I'll see you tomorrow.